If you're not listening to the Smoke World podcast, you're wasting your time, you mortal.
What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Smoke World. I'm your host, Stone. So go grab that stick. Go grab a glass, whatever you're drinking. Let's sit back and have that conversation. You can follow me where? On Instagram. That's all we need to know. Listen, today's episode, special guest in the building, Ernestine Epps. Co-host guest, my man Sketches. Ernestine Epps is an icon here in Delaware. She is the first African-American female to make CW5. So, she tells her story. She's a sister of the Leaf. And this podcast goes from that to something else. So stay tuned. You're going to need a whole cigar for this episode, folks. Grab your cigar, not a shorty. You're going to need about an hour for this one, okay? And a good glass of something special. Sit back, relax, do what we do, enjoy the show. All right, folks, thank you for joining me. Today I am joined by an icon, trendsetter, a female, a sister of the Leaf, who has made it possible for the younger generation to do some things. Okay, I'm going to say that. And don't forget, I have a guest co-host tonight. My brother Sketches is in the building. So, let me go back to my lovely sister of the Leaf. Her name, if you don't know it, is Ernestine Epps.
Hey,
Ernestine Epps, thank you for joining us on Smoke World.
Smoke World, hey.
What's up? First of all, I want to say congratulations
Thank you.
on your new position, promoted to CW5. Now, folks are listening and saying, Stone, I don't know that military jargon. What the hell is a CW5? Can you explain to them the trials, the tribulations, the mountains, the valleys that it took to get to what they call the military CW5?
I can. So a lot of people don't know what a warrant officer is. So warrant officer is a technical expert officer in the Army, Navy, and the Marine Corps. The Air Force don't have them after 1956. And so in between your enlisted E1 through E9 is the warrant officer ranks of CW1, W1, to CW5. And then, of course, we have the O grades of lieutenant through general. So W1 is measurable to a O1, O2. Then you go up, and then a W5, which is what we call in the military a unicorn. It is measurable to a colonel or a general. And so a W5 is, if you look at how much of the population serves, 1% of the population serves in the military, and then 1% of those people that serve become warrant officers. And then roughly 50% of that 1% that become warrant officers, I would actually say like 30%, matriculate to the rank of CW5. It's a very hard rank to get to, and because there are very few slots. And then of those, probably like 30% of that 30% of 01% end up making it to as females, as W5s, and then we cut that down when it becomes the African American females. So it's a very small group of us, and I am very grateful to have made it to this rank. I can't go any higher. This is the last
give
one.
You your flowers. Yes. And I'm going to say my bad, because I did not mention that you have made history here in Delaware.
I have.
The first black female CW5.
The first female CW5.
Female.
And then,
wow.
Because we happen to be African American, we're the first African American female. So yeah, Delaware has never seen a female W5 in its rank. So yeah, I'm excited.
Delaware. Let's make some noise for that.
I haven't seen it either. I haven't seen it in my 13 years in the military. I haven't seen a black chief warrant officer higher than 3 ever. And I've been in multiple units. multiple divisions.
This is what we're talking about, folks.
And
this is why we love. And she's a sister of the leaf. Okay, folks? She's a sister of the leaf. She smokes, she drinks, and she wears it well. She is an icon. Like I said, I can't say this enough. We really want to give you your flowers.
Right.
For
And
real.
CW5s are masters and subject matter experts. So there's nowhere else you can go to. They're the masters in their field.
That part.
They're the masters in their field.
But here's the gangster. You have a backstory that is unbelievable.
Well, first, I just want to interrupt real fast and say something else, and it may seem a little self-serving to say, like, I think, like, a branch, CW5, is one thing, but I will become a command chief warrant officer, which is a completely different
Right.
thing. And that is part that's gangster. Like, that the organization has said that you will be our highest CW5 in the organization. That is gangster. That is unbelievable to me. And so the way it's separated is that there was a promotion ceremony and we partied our faces off.
I can't believe I'm sitting here.
And then we ended up with
Yeah,
we
I
ended up
can't believe I'm
with
sitting
a
real.
positional ceremony in November 4th. So yeah. But yeah, so
It made me
it's
want to go
amazing.
back in.
Listen, I got some recruiters that can help you.
Made me want to go back
You're
in.
not too old. I got you.
Lies.
I got some recruiters that can help you.
Lies.
Come
Wanna
on
go
back
back
in.
in. You live.
You live, right, live.
I think you're
Bring
done with
it
that
on
life,
up.
brother.
No, okay,
You're done
my
with
bad.
that life.
Yeah, look, I think he may be a little bit, but go ahead.
But
Unbelievable.
okay, now the crazy part is, like I said, you have a hell of a backstory, because I always say folks see the glory, but they don't know the backstory. You have a backstory that is like, what? You made it through that? So if you can share a little bit about how this journey began. It's not what people think. That's for sure. If you don't mind.
Yeah, no. So I came on a podcast, your podcast,
Yes, you was a guest
about a year or so ago, and I shared that I grew up in foster care, and so for me, like the track from foster care, and actually like emancipating through the system when I was 17, and then being homeless and trying to make that work, and then going into the Marine Corps, like there was never a path for me to make it to CW5.
Wait, you said you was at the Marine Corps
Yeah, so I came out of homelessness
and went straight into the Marines?
I went to the Marine Corps. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in 1995, and so in 95, as we chatted a little offline about, it was a tough time to come into the Marine Corps, especially as a female. So when I got placed into my first company, I was the only female in my company. And so people always ask me, like, why didn't you stay in the Marine Corps? Well, because the staff sergeant licked my ear and told me he had something for my back.
whoa.
No. It was
hold on.
good enough, but that was the time of the Marine Corps, and I was ready to get out.
Okay,
I was like,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Literally, somebody really licked your ear.
Literally, yeah. Literally,
Licked your
somebody.
ear.
Literally.
And
Because
said
I was
what?
the only female in the company. And a staff sergeant licked my ear, and he said, I got something that can help your back.
What
And
did he
I was
mean by
like,
that?
I didn't care. But I told him, listen, I'm from Philly. I'll fuck you up if you lick my ear again. So the Marine Corps was, and although the training, the training was the best that I've ever experienced. The other stuff that I experienced was not for me. And so I left the military, not transitioning to the Army, but I just left the military. And then 6 months later, I transitioned to the Army.
So you was in the Army in 96 or 97?
I said six years after my
Oh,
first.
6 years. That's 6
No.
years.
So I was in the Army in 2000.
2000.
So I went in 95, and then I was in the Army in 2000.
2000.
Okay, so for a person who's listening, maybe they have some kids, or maybe somebody's younger's listen, would you recommend joining the military? Because there's a lot of controversy going on right now with politics. You're hearing, oh, this is a woke military. I don't even know what that means. But based on your experience, would you recommend the military as a career path at this point in
Yes.
time?
So I will tell you how I recommend it. I think that like the military has. So I'm in my PhD program now.
Show
right?
off.
So,
Show off.
so the military has paid for my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. And I will go further to tell you that I'll be a little personal here, and I will tell you that my mom grew up in foster care and my grandmother grew up in foster care. But the military, what they gave me is a chance to pay for my daughter to go to college. So I transferred my GI Bill. I used tuition assistance because I'm still active to pay for my education through my bachelor's and my master's. And I was able to transfer my GI Bill to my daughter so that she could get her bachelor's degree for free. So the military paid for us to break that cycle.
Right.
So all of the things that the military gave me, so I'm in my doctoral program, and so I understand like these things that they give you that prevent. So education, lifestyle, salary, all of these things that the military gave me was able to break that cycle for my family. And so it allowed my daughter to be, and of course she had to make her own smart decisions. But it allowed her to have the opportunity to have access to things that I didn't have access. My mom didn't have access. My grandmother didn't have access. And so I think the military is really great for stuff like that. I think that you have to be very clear. And the military of 1995 is not the military of 2023, for sure. So when I went through the Marine Corps in 1995, I was only female in a company, and it is just not that way anymore. And so the things that I dealt with, people should not deal with. Now I will still submit to you that there is still sexual harassment that happens in the military. There are still those things that happen, and I'm not even going to tell you that they don't, but I'm going to tell you that educated females. So what we try to do as females now in the military is we try to close ourselves around other females that are in the military so that they understand, like, listen, you're not sitting out there like one little, I say, like, if you look at the wild and you see one little baby elephant running, of course the lions are going to attack. But when you have a pack that's saying, and a herd that's saying, no, not today. And so that's what we do with our females in the military now.
Because I as well got the bachelor's degree through the military also. They pay for it, rehabilitation. And don't remember, when you do join the military, make sure you get the GI Bill. And
100%.
A lot of people waived the GI Bill when they went in.
No, it's different now.
So you can't waive it no more.
So we had the old, you pay $100 a month.
They got rid of that.
No, it is the post 9/11 GI Bill is automatic. You don't have to pay nothing into it. It is yours. Wow. And so then you can transfer that post 9/11 to your kids. So yeah. So that's
that is I'm gonna go on a record and say that the Army military is the best company job you can ever get in the United States. Cause no other company is gonna do this for you. I don't care where you go. No other company is going to pay for your school, give you $300,000 you pass away.
You old. It's $500,000.
It's $500,000. It's a $500,000.
Listen, I am really legitimately more dead than I am alive. So hopefully my daughter will not kill me. Like,
you can actually go in with a GED and die, and then your family got $500,000 going to come into you.
No GoFundMe, no fish fry.
All right, so how does that work? Okay, so you have to be active, obviously, for that $500,000.
No.
No, you don't.
No. So if you're National Guard, 1 week in a month, you still get that $500,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
And USAR, Army Reserves, the same thing. That's right. You still get the $500,000.
Still get the college.
Okay, now.
Okay, so there is a little caveat to that for the kids. So you still have to have a couple deployments.
Oh, it's a couple deployments.
Yeah, well,
it's
maybe one. Maybe one.
One?
Depends on how long it is. Like Air Force, Air Guard, it's only 6 months.
I'm glad you mentioned Air Force. I want to mention the Air Force because now I didn't serve in the military. I didn't serve. But I hear, and maybe y'all can dispel these rumors, that the Air Force is the place to go.
It is. I mean,
based on the fact they're getting hazardous pay when
we all get the same pay.
Okay.
So that's
those
not
days
it.
Maybe changed too, because I know some guys who were in Air Force, and other guys were in Army.
No,
and
you
Army
all get
guys
the same
wasn't
pay.
getting any hazardous pay.
No, you get the same pay.
Okay.
So the difference in the Air Force is it depends. So what I tell kids, and even my daughter, it depends on what you want to do, right? So if you're a computer person, if you want to do like drones and stuff like that, you want to do Air Force, right? If you want to do medical and stuff like that, there's the Navy, there's a U.S. Public Health, there's a couple other branches. It depends. Although the Army does have medical, they don't pay bonuses as much. So really what you want to look at is what the entry stuff is when you're ready to go. And so it's hard when you're talking to a recruiter that's of that branch, right? Because they're going to be like, we're the greatest in sliced bread.
But here's a good question.
Go ahead.
When you joined the military, did you join to fight for the country or to fight for you?
That is a very interesting question. And so, no, I did not join to fight for the country. Because for me, I was working 3 jobs. I was going to high school. I'm going to be honest.
Please do.
I'm laughing a little bit because it's a little embarrassing, but it's the truth.
No, yeah.
So for me, I was dating a Marine. Emancipated at 16, I was dating a Marine who said, I forbid you for going into the Marine Corps.
Really?
So, of course, I went to the Marine Corps.
You don't tell me what to do. You're not my daddy.
It wasn't that. It was, yeah, kind of. It was, so when I showed up at Paris Island, quite honestly, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I got myself into. And then once I got there and settled down, but never was the end of my career at the front end of my career. So I didn't have any aspirations past just making it through boot camp, if I'm honest with you. And then when I got into the fleet, I didn't have any aspirations past making it past my first enlistment. And then I got out, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was in California. And I had a Dodge Neon with luggage.
What part
racks.
of California?
I was in Irvine, El Toro, the base that had closed. And we moved to Miramar, which is in South San Diego. And I drove my car from San Diego to Philadelphia.
Oh,
it was a Dodge Neon with luggage racks on the top.
I did it too.
And when I stopped in Arizona, the desert, I stopped and I burned up all my uniforms. And I said, I'm never doing this shit again. I was so disgruntled.
So what happened to the boyfriend? Y'all broke up when you joined the Marines?
I wasn't a boyfriend.
No, I'm saying, remember the guy who said, don't do it? So what happened?
Oh, we broke up the second I joined. He was true to himself. He said, I'll break up with you if you ever. And I did.
So do you feel, during the path, don't you feel a little patriotic a little bit now? No.
I feel a lot patriotic.
Right?
So there's a couple things. So the first thing I will tell you is that the training I received in the Marine Corps is one that I still rely on today. So I've been in the Army. I've been in the military for 28 years. The first 4 years of my Marine Corps were with the Marine Corps. They were so intense with their training over that 4 years that even still now in the Army, when I deploy and everything else, I rely on that intensive training and the intuitiveness that the Marine Corps teaches. They teach you so much stuff that the Army doesn't teach. Yeah. That you are a constant war fighter 24 hours a day.
My Army friends gonna be mad about what I'm about to say, but Marine training
Jarheads, baby.
Is twice, if not 3 times.
I would go 3 times all day.
As strong as in the Army.
All day. Because it's every day.
It's sad to say, but it is. It's the truth.
Because you are, no matter what your MOS is, the Marine Corps is very clear that you're a Marine first. So no matter what happens, you are supposed to take up the thing and you're a Marine. And so they train you no matter what. You can be working 16 hours a day in your MOS, and they're like, guess what we have? We have training now on how a downed aircraft, if you're on an aircraft and it goes down, this is how you protect your flank. And so it's ingrained in you so much that like when I close my eyes to go to sleep, it has to be complete silence. Right. Because for me, I can hear everything because that's what the Marine Corps teaches you. It teaches you a warfighter way of life that's different from what the Army. So the Army has taught me to be a leader, and I will be very clear about that. The Army has taken me from enlisted to officer and on officer staff. When I deployed, the last time I deployed, I was an absolute leader. I worked on the staff of a 3-star general, and I was a branch chief, and I did not play. And what we did was we moved our soldiers from Iraq to Syria. So but the Army has taught me strategic level stuff. Where the Marine taught me how to break down a door and how to protect
Right.
the perimeter, the Army taught me how to be a strategic leader.
Army used more common sense and tactical reasons.
I wouldn't say common sense.
Because a lot of
the Marine Corps does too. I would say strategic level, higher level, but it becomes if I'm honest with you, it's because my level has changed. So I don't know if I was in the Marine Corps, I think I would have been trained
I think common
strategically.
sense is a hard word.
That's hard.
It's a word I'm trying to find. There is a difference.
Strategic.
Is it strategic?
Strategic.
Yeah,
that's
we
the
go
word.
with that. We
Let's
go with that.
Yeah.
Now, a question I have based on what's going on today in politics. Do you think it helps or hurts recruitment in the military? Because I'm hearing a lot of stuff, and I don't know if I want to use the word crazy, but I will. A lot of crazy things coming from certain political affiliates that the military is woke and this military that we have now is soft. What's your opinion on that? Do you think that discourages folks? Because if you hear that, you think about, I want to go to the military, but you hear all this, and you see on TV, these politicians talk about this is a woke military. I don't really know what that means, because if I'm asleep, I don't know what's going on. I want to stay woke. So
I would challenge any of the politicians that say that to put their Kevlar on, to put a weapon on their side, and to go out with the military. I think what happens is we have a lot of people who have never actually been in the military saying stuff about what the military is doing.
Right.
And so for me, sitting where I sit, especially as a black female that sits where I sit, we say, and I say particularly, you're getting old when you say this is the way we used to do it, right? If you can't be innovative and you can't take the ideas of young people, then you're too old to do what you do. And
you're inspiration. So if people see inspiration, that helps. Now if my daughter, now I'm thinking about maybe I should tell my daughter to go in the military, because her inspiration of her being Chief W5. Like, wait a minute. My daughter got a chance now. And we don't see that. You don't see that.
That's what I'm saying. As a role model.
You don't see a chief female, period.
So I will tell you, as a command chief in the Army National Guard full-time force, I'm the only black female command chief out of the 54 states and territories.
Unbelievable.
And so for me,
Make some noise for that again. Make some noise, people. I don't think y'all realize that. Make some noise.
I'm going to have to smoke this Cohiba, man.
No. Well, what I want to do is what I want to tell.
Light it up.
What I want to tell women that are in the force is like, listen, number one, we can do this. Now, it is not without its own bit of, you have to be built to understand that you're almost bucking a system, right? But I think, like, just going back to your question of wokeness, I think it's a matter of being able to say, like, listen, we're here. We're here. Black people are here.
So what do you think? I have to interrupt. I do apologize.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
When you hear that term, woke, what does that mean to you?
It doesn't mean anything to me, if I'm honest with you. Because for me, like, I got a triple negative. I'm a black female, and I grew up in a space where I didn't have a family. So you're talking about a overcoming by trifecta. And then you say, like, listen, we woke. Like, listen, this organization, like, however I had to work for, however hard I had to work for, I am here, and the organization has still allowed me at this point to be here. And so to not be woke says that there would not be a black female allowed at this space. In the past, there has not been.
So you was going on missions without getting the cookies, the letters,
none.
Being able to call a family member every day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Why you was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I cried to my mother. I'm 25, 26 years old. Mommy, I want to come home.
I want to get out of this.
I came in the military with a stabbed and shot already out of the projects, and I'm still crying to my moms while I'm there. And you trying to tell me you had nobody?
No. So I
Bro.
so
Amazing.
what I will tell you is like what the military does provide, and I tell people all the time. So if I know I'm on your podcast, but I just want to make one assertion if I could.
Come on. Just
And
home.
so
This is home.
for me, like the problem of foster care lies in the fact that we disqualify people from military service. We disqualify them by giving them medications because they can't cope. Of course, who can move from place to place to place? And now you're disqualified from military service. And so the military ends
Really?
up being, oh yeah, yeah, there's a large thing, but the military ends up being a proxy family. And this is what I will say, and I'm going to be sentimental for 1 second. I know I'm on your podcast. My promotion event happened 2 weeks ago at DSU. I literally had folks fly in from everywhere in the world. I had people who came in from Philadelphia from when I was a 15-year-old knucklehead and cussing everybody out. I had 200 people plus at this promotion. And for a girl who never had a family reunion, I had a chance to see all the people that I love in one place over 3 events in 2 days. And what I end up feeling, it changed my life. I searched my whole life for a family. And I realized that in this one event, I had a family, and so I walked through my events. I had a family that came to my promotion. I had a reception afterwards, and I had a different family that came to that. I had a party at a cigar lounge, and I had my cigar family come to that, and I had a brunch the next morning. And every single place, and every single people, I saw all of my family. And so I'll bring it back to cigars. It is a great equalizer.
Incredible.
Oh, man.
And
It is a great
if my
equalizer.
family wasn't there, I don't know.
My
I don't
family
know.
was there.
No,
My
I'm
family
talking
was
about-
there. Oh, in the
I'm talking about-
beginning.
While I was in boot camp in Bosnia and
So
Kuwait.
so my last foster mom, so let me tell you how great she is. And I'm again hijacking your shit. I'm sorry.
What year
No,
is this? What
no,
year?
You're not. Don't say that.
So
Your
my
hair
last
speaks
foster
freely.
mom, I met her in 90.
Prior to going to boot camp.
Before,
Okay.
yeah. So I met her prior to me emancipated. I emancipated at 16, and so I met her at 15 and a half. And I was difficult, y'all. I was an asshole when I met her. I shared at my promotion speech, I had a whole net outfit on, and the only way I met her is my social worker wrote a letter to the churches in my high school because I was in my 3rd high school and I was in 10th grade. And they ran out of homes, and he wrote a letter to the churches, and he said, if you find it in your heart to take her, we will expedite your application. And she did, and her name was Barbara Floyd, and I'm going to shout her out every single time. So she was not my biological mom, but what she did is she was like steadfast. I only lasted in her home for like 4 months because she was like, you too much, and I get it. But she stayed after me after that, and so when I made my decision to become a Marine, I'm not gonna cry, but I
It's all
almost
right.
want to.
It's okay.
She was fixed income, and she was like an old black church lady. And she said, I'm being parasailing when you graduate. And then every event after that, and every life event, like she's my daughter's grandmother. So the way my daughter is successful is because this woman poured into both of us.
So for the record, fixed income, that means she had to pay for her round trip ticket and hotel.
Oh, she drove a 1980 station wagon down from Philadelphia to South Carolina. And then
She had to stay in a hotel, right?
listen, yeah, and had to stay in the hotel because we had the
Right.
family visitor night
Right.
one night,
Mhm.
and we had to.
The next
She
day.
had no money. This woman had no money, and so it took her years. She went from, I called her when I first moved with her, Miss Barbara, and then later she became Auntie Barbara, and years later she became Mom, because she was the one that saw something in me, and she was holding on steadfast. And so she's the one that I attribute to my daughter being so amazing, because her and my daughter, I had my daughter. She was there. She was there from the time I graduated boot camp until she passed away, like a couple years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
So she was my mom, and my
Sorry to hear
daughter becomes successful because she has a family. So she has my mom, not the military family, although she did have a military family too. But my mom and her were peas in a pod.
Wow.
And so this woman, Barbara Floyd, and I'll say her name a million times, and I said it and dedicated my promotion to W5 to her because I cannot be a W5 without the love she showed me years earlier. So yeah, so she's the reason.
Did you ever know
why.
your biological mother?
I did. So I met her when we used to visit with her when I was a little kid, and then she passed away when I was 9. She had an addiction issue, and
How about your father?
he passed away when I was before I found out who he was after he passed away.
How long were you then? Before 9?
Little kid. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I knew when my biological mom passed away, that I would be in foster care because I knew
And
that
no
that
siblings,
was it.
no brothers. No
I
sisters.
do. I'm the guardian. I'm the guardian of my little sister, and I became her guardian when I turned 16 and I emancipated.
And
So she's a special needs
Okay.
girl, and so if my promotion was held until she got there, so they were a little bit late because she's my other daughter. So she's my first daughter, and then my biological daughter is my daughter.
in this travel, did God help you? Like
Absolutely. I accepted God when I was
Right.
9 years old, and it was the change maker. So for me, like, I grew up with 5 biological. I'm the middle child of 5 biological siblings, and I've always been the oldest. Like, I'm the middle, but
Right.
I've always taken care of
Okay.
everybody. But I accepted. Some missionaries came to Philly when I was 9. Actually, I was younger than 9. And they saved me, and
you feel you had some type of guardian angel with you on sometimes going on missions and the power of
I didn't
Power of
until
prayer,
my
by the power
mom
of
paid.
prayer.
Like I believe that God had me, but it wasn't until my mom passed away. My mom that I just told
Barbara.
you guys about. Yeah, Barbara Floyd. I'm gonna say her name.
Yeah, I'm
over
gonna
there.
say her
I'm
name
sorry.
too.
So it wasn't until because she poured into me. It wasn't until she passed away. Like even like this promotion, it was difficult.
I know.
So I'm not gonna go into details, but I'm
I
gonna
know.
tell you that this promotion, like of all my promotions, W4 is the one that's good. But when you get to W5, it's very political. And so for this promotion here, I said it was my mom. My mom was working this upstairs within the heavens to make some stuff happen. And she moved some stuff around. And so she knew that I got W4 because right before she passed, I had got the notice that I was going to get W4. And so she, at that time, and this is how God works, and I'm not going to get super emotional, but she was not responsive to anyone. And I went to her ear and I said, Mom, and I had flown back in from overseas. I was in Iraq, and I flown back in because they told me she was dire. And I flew back in and I said, Mom, this is Ernie. And she sat up and I said, I got W4. And she started talking to me the way we're all talking. And people bust in the room and they said she hasn't talked to anybody in 3 days. And she's like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And that was the last conversation she had. And then she died 2 days later. And so
what year was that?
it was in 2018.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. And so then she passed 6 years ago. It was 6 years ago because my Facebook status just talks about her
Yeah,
funeral.
I just saw that.
And so what I will tell you is the power of the military family. The funeral director came to the house to pick us up, and she said, Ernie, I'm only telling you this because I don't want you to be overwhelmed. She said, there's 300 military members in your mama's church. 300 people in dress blues. And they're here for you. And then so it was powerful because that's what the military brings you.
Right.
It brings you a family.
It does.
And 300
It does.
members showed up for
It
when
does.
my mama passed. And so you go into a place where you look out and there's 300 members filling the church.
And it's love too. It's no fake. It's
No,
nothing fake about it.
no. These are the same people that will die for you.
And you can't get that on the streets.
No. And this is
You
what I
can't
love
get that
about
on
the
the
leaf.
street.
Not this. I'm just going to
Bring it
segue
back
just a
to
little
that.
bit.
Bring
This
it
is what I
back.
tell folks about the cigar. Some folks who don't smoke say, hey, I don't know why you guys, girls, smoke these stinky cigars. But they don't understand
It's a great
bond.
equalizer.
that comes together, that people you meet become like family.
It's a great equalizer.
Yes. Well, there you go, family. That's right. You are considered family. Well, there's another episode of Smoke World in the books. Want to thank my guest, Ernestine Epps. Shout out to her doing her thing. All good. Listen, you can follow me on Instagram, Smoke World Podcast. Email stone@smokeworldpodcast.com and the website smokeworldpodcast.com, folks. Thank you. Thank you. And we will do what? We will see you on the other side. Peace.